Did you know that one of the biggest fears people around the world have is speaking in public, having to give a talk in front of a complete stranger? And this is exactly what you have to do in speaking section 2. So you may be feeling very nervous or worried about this particular area of the speaking test. But I'm going to share with you how you can overcome this and be successful and get the score you need in the IELTS speaking section. So let's talk about part 2, because this is exactly what you have to do in part 2. And this is where the examiner will first of all give you a cue card with a topic that you have to speak on. And on this cue card, there will be a question with 3 to 5 bullet points outlining exactly what you're expected to speak about. And then once you have the cue card, you'll be given some note paper and a pencil, and you'll be given 1 minute to prepare and plan your talk. And then once you're ready, you'll be expected to speak for up to 2 minutes. And then once you're finished speaking about and giving your talk, the examiner may give you 1 or 2 follow-up questions specifically about what you shared with them. So how can you do this, and how can you do this effectively without feeling too nervous and say everything that you need to say and to be able to speak the right length of time? Let me give you a few tips. This is what a typical cue card looks like. Describe something you own which is very important to you. You should say what you use it for, how long you have had it, where you got it from, and explain why it's so important to you. And as you do this, you'll want to use the right and appropriate and useful vocabulary, the right grammatical structures, and speak accurately and have good pronunciation. But you can do all of this effectively by, first of all, being careful to plan your talk so that you know exactly what you're going to say. And remember, you're speaking from your own experience, you're speaking from your own life. There's nothing that's going to be memorized or prepared in advance. You're just going to be able to share your ideas, thoughts, and feelings in the most meaningful way. And again, you're not going to be measured according to your content. You're going to be measured to your English speaking ability. But it's important to have enough content to be able to speak for 2 minutes. So let me share how you can do that. So as we look at the cue card, we can see that there are clearly some questions that we'll want to address and speak about in our talk. But maybe this seems like there's not quite enough to speak for 2 minutes. So what you'll want to do as you plan your talk is to think of some specific details that maybe you could add in that will help you to speak more effectively and have all the information that you need to speak for 2 minutes. So you can see that you already have some questions that you need to answer. What you use it for, how long you've had it, where you got it from, and explain and why it's so important to you. Now, these are typical question words, and when you want to give information and give completed details about a specific topic, there are 5 good questions to answer: who, what, where, when, and why. And as you can see, some of these are already included in those questions. So if you want to add some extra details, simply provide answers to some of the questions that may not be there, but are still relevant and useful for developing your talk. For example, if you're describing something you own which is very important to you, one of the details you could add is who gave it to you. Maybe it's something that was given to you as a gift, and just by describing and saying a little bit about who gave it to you is really relevant to the topic that you're speaking about. We have the question, what, and we have the question where you got it from. You could also say where you were when you received it and set a little bit of context for the talk. You're going to describe how long you've had it, but you could say when you received it. Was it a special occasion? Was it an 18th birthday? Was it your graduation? Was it finishing up a job and moving on to a new one? You can explain when you got it and what the occasion was. And then we have why in the question. So just by adding in these extra details, you can expand your talk, but still be relevant and on topic. And this is so important when it comes to speaking for 2 minutes. Anybody can speak about anything for 2 minutes, but it has to be relevant, it has to be appropriate and useful for developing the topic that you're given. So let's say I'm using this 1 minute, and what I want to do is I want to make an outline of what I'm going to say. Now, not going to write a script because I'm not going to be reading the notes. I'm just going to make a quick outline, and maybe I'll just use these question words and put 1 or 2 ideas beside them that will help direct my thought. So, for example, if I were going to speak and prepare a talk about this topic, I would say who, because what I want to talk about is something that my grandfather gave me. So it's really relevant and appropriate to talk a little bit about my grandfather. And I want to describe the object that he gave me. So the answer to what is a pocket watch. I'm going to describe a pocket watch that my grandfather gave me. Where did he give it to me? Well, when I say where, when you answer the question where you got it from, I'm describing who I got it from, and I'm going to say where was when he invited me to his house to present me with this special gift. When was it? It was on the occasion of my graduation, which was about 30 years ago. And why is it so important to me? Well, it's just been a reminder over the years of how to manage my time and why patience is so important. It's a really good reminder for me. So I have a really good idea of what I'm going to speak about. I don't have memorized notes. I don't have a script. But what I do have is a solid outline because I'm speaking about a real life situation, a real life experience. So it's not going to be difficult for me to add in the details as I speak, and it'll come across quite naturally, and I'll be confident because I know exactly what I'm talking about. One of the other things that you can just add in, and it may not seem as appropriate when you're describing an object like a pocket watch or something like this, but one of the things that you can do is when you're describing your ideas and thoughts and feelings and you're looking for extra things and extra details, don't neglect the things that describe different sights and smells, what it felt like to touch something, maybe taste something. For example, if you were giving a talk about a restaurant that you recently ate about, you'll want to describe all the senses, the sights, the smells, the touch, the taste, and even things that you heard while you were experiencing that. So, as well as answering these detailed questions, don't forget to add in details that may involve one of your 5 senses. So here's what I'd like to do as I speak. I want to be sure that when I speak, I understand that how I say something is actually more important than what I say. Remember, this is a test of your English language ability. So don't be too concerned about the content. Just say what's real for you and a part of your actual experience. And again, make sure you use your notes. Okay, just don't read them. It's okay to glance at them a couple of times because you want to show that you are well prepared and you do have a good flow and your ideas are well structured. So it's okay to use your notes, just don't read them. So let me tell you about my grandfather's watch. Quite a few years ago, about 30 years ago, my grandfather called me and told me that he'd like to have a talk with me because he had something special for me. And it was the occasion of my graduation. So I knew he had something up his sleeve. I know that he had been giving it some thought, and he was very proud of me for accomplishing this. And I think he just wanted to do something special for me at this turning point in my life. So he asked me to come over, and I went over to visit him at his house. And I said hi to my grandmother, and I knew this was a special occasion because my grandfather wanted to take me aside, and he took me into his den. What a special place, a room filled with a history of his life, old war pictures and photos of cars and model cars, pictures on the wall that were a part of his experience and brought memories to him, objects and awards and medals that he had received over the years for the special things he'd done. But there was one really special thing that sat on top of his bureau, and it was just a little chest that he had had for many years. And as I sat there and was speaking with him, he went over and he opened up the chest and he reached in and he pulled out a pocket watch that his grandfather had given to him so many years ago and that he had held dear over the years. And he gave it to me. And he explained where he got it and why it was special to him, because it always reminded him that there was always time for the right things to happen, no matter what setbacks we face. And all we need to do is keep looking to the future, managing our time well, being patient, and waiting for good things to happen. And he described all this as he gave the watch to me. And over these last 30 years since I received that watch from him, I've learned the same lessons, how to overcome setbacks. That setbacks don't mean that something is necessarily going to take longer. It just means being patient and waiting for good things to come my way. And since my graduation, I've experienced many great things in my life. And I keep that gold pocket watch in a little box on top of my dresser because I know that it's a constant reminder, not only of the things that my grandfather taught me, but a constant reminder that there are still good things in store for my future. I hope that as you listen to that talk, you realize that there were no fancy or academic terms. It was quite natural. There was vocabulary that you're familiar with, sentence structures and grammar that wasn't too complicated. And this is something that I know you can accomplish when it comes time to give your 2-minute talk. If you'd like more tips and information about being successful in speaking or the IELTS exam in general, be sure to watch the next video and subscribe to my YouTube channel, where you'll find everything you need as you continue on your journey and in your preparation for the IELTS exam.